Hello and welcome to another episode of History with Andy Eckwright. I'm Andy Eckwright. Today we are in Muncie, Kansas, or better known as Kansas City, Kansas now, at the Grinter Place. The Grinter Place, the oldest home in Wyandotte County, Kansas, and on the list of National Record of Historic Places. And I am standing right in front of a grave for a Mr. Thomas Elliott who died in 1849. This grave is inside of a garden, and I'll explain why this is important later. So the Grinters. The Grinters, Moses Grinter, the patriarch of the family, came from Kentucky to Fort Leavenworth and was assigned in 1831 to build a ferry across the Kaw River. Now, this ferry goes by three names: the Delaware Ferry, the Military Ferry, and the Secondine Ferry. The Delaware Tribe had been moved here from the Ohio River Valley, and Moses actually married a woman, Annie, who was half Delaware or half Lamoni. And her name in Lamoni actually meant sweetness. So Moses married Annie, and her father was a French fur trader, her mother a member of the Delaware Tribe. So the Delaware Tribe is here, and Moses and Annie decide that they're going to make the best out of it. They have 700 acres, 2 of which they'll donate to a chapel, and they are now buried there, just about a quarter mile up to the north. And they will build this ferry that he was commissioned to do in 1831, about a quarter mile to the east, right down there. Now the ferry was important because it allowed the traders and the Santa Fe Trail, people going on the Santa Fe Trail to cross, to allow the Delaware to cross, but especially to allow the military to cross. The military had 8 forts at that time, and it would take the people from Fort Leavenworth and take them to Fort Scott and everything else. So that was very important. They also farmed here. They had poultry and livestock, and they had a general store from 1855 to 1860. They sold about 160 products, mostly to the Delaware Indians, and they were paid in fur or cash. Now this home was built in 1857 as is, and it was owned by the Grinter family until 1950. Now I did say that they farmed, and you can see there that light blue building is a replica of their farm, but it would have been down here where that foundation is, but it burnt down. So they rebuilt it up here as a visitor center. So we have this home in their hands till the 1950s. The man who helped people get across the Kaw River, who had the trading post and all that. Now they're gonna sell their home to a family called the Hansons. Now Moses died in 1878 and Annie died in 1905. But the family continued on, and then they sold it to the Hansons, who made a chicken restaurant, fried chicken, until the government or regulations said you can't have it in here. So they made it in the barn, which was down there, was the restaurant, and they had a chicken restaurant. Now, recognizing the value of this place, the Hanson family decided that they would not sell, even though a lot of people wanted this land. And they wanted this land badly because it was a growing population, but they wanted to give it back to the Kansas Historical Society. Well, the Friends of Grinter Place and other organizations raised the money to purchase the home, and then it was acquired by the Kansas State Historical Society. So they saved the home. Now, the grave, Thomas Elliott, you might think, well, those Hanson people are pretty nice. Now, the grave Thomas Elliott was actually down the road by a Shoto trading post. And when they wanted to widen the road for the highway, they had to move his grave. Well, where were they going to move it? The Hansons volunteered that they could move the grave to their garden. Pretty nice people. Now these bricks are all original and everything, but you can see that there might have been some damage here back in the day, because we have a little bit of graffiti right here. May 1865 graffiti that they carved into the bricks. Right there. Oh. And I can't find the other one right now. But the bricks then were carved into them. So in 1865, somebody carved into the bricks right here to make their mark. Pretty cool. So here we have the oldest house in Wyandotte County that established the ferry and had the outpost, trading post, and was a stopping point probably for a lot of the people on the Santa Fe Trail, and then became a chicken restaurant. And the chicken restaurant people recognized its significance, and they would not sell to make this grand profit because they knew about the history. So they saved it, and they saved it for history. And now we have it here in Wyandotte County, just off Highway 32 and 78th Street. This has been another episode of History with Andy Eckrite. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.